Hello everyone, it's your Bud. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the jet bikes of the Imperium of mankind. Now, Imperial jet bikes were common amongst the Space Marine legions during the Great Crusade and the Heresy, typically operated by Sky Hunter squadrons. The last known version was the Millennium 14 Bullock jet cycle, equipped with integrated auto drive, and additionally, some were equipped with bioscanners, energy scanners, communicators, and even auto-aim devices linked to the vehicle's weapons. Standard weapons were twin forward-firing bolters, and this could seat a single rider. The jet cycle is capable of both flight and hover modes, and could be used in aerial drop separation tactics, dropping out of dropships before the ship lands. So, the Millennium 14's Bullock-style jet cycle was the last mass-produced one. However, there is one other one that I should note before we get into the discussion of the jet bikes, and that is the Dawn Eagle jet bike. The Virtus Praetors ride atop Dawn Eagle jet bikes and mirror the heavy cavalry employed by human armies since the very dawn of time. In battle, they range ahead of the main body of the Custodes' force and devastate their foes with crushing lance charges and with their interceptor lances. They act as reconnaissance and scouts for the Custodes, and their bikes, armor, and biological senses are well suited for this task. So the Dawn Eagle jet bikes of the Virtus Praetors, which if you haven't noted yet, the Virtus Praetors are the fast attack of the Adeptus Custodes, are wonders of Imperial technology from the era of the Great Crusade. These bikes are almost as large as light fighter craft and, while they are still grav skimmers, can deliver a near supersonic turn of speed. Their hulls are phenomenally durable, allowing their riders to slam through walls and enemy warriors without being unseated, and they react to the slightest touch of controls, able to move effortlessly through incoming fire. The Dawn Eagle jet bikes also come equipped with hurricane bolters, salvo launchers, and flak burst missiles to deal with any enemy war machines that they encounter. Now, those were two jet bikes that I thought I should mention before we get into the full discussion. And yes, one of them was the Millennium 14 Bullock jet cycle, and the other was the Dawn Eagle jet bikes of the Adeptus Custodes. So the very last mass-produced model was the MK14, or I'm assuming that's Millennium 14 Bullock-style jet cycle. And yeah, that one, there is a Bullock-style jet bike still used by the White Scars, and its name is Corvex. And while Corvex, this last surviving model of the MK14 pattern, is ridden by the leader of the Dark Angels, whether it is a single unit that is recovered time and time again, or whether it is proof that the Dark Angels maintain some sort of cache of relics or have a long-lost STC to the design, is unknown. So whether they have it or whether they can create it is unknown, and they do not share their secrets. So we will not know how many of these Model 14 patterns exist. Is there one single surviving model of the Mark 14 pattern, the model named Corvex, ridden by the masters of the Dark Angels, or is there an STC with this pattern still being stored by them? That is unknown. And then again, there is the Dawn Eagle jet bikes of the Virtus Praetors, and the Virtus Praetors are the fast attack of the Adeptus Custodes. However, there are many other jet bikes, and the many other jet bikes can be modified to many other specifics. So let's discuss, what are jet bikes? A jet bike is a fast and highly maneuverable vehicle that is powered by advanced anti-gravitic technology that allows it to hover above any surface while being propelled by powerful jet or rocket engines. These sleek vehicles can be used to carry a passenger into the air above the maelstrom of battle, or to carry out missions like reconnaissance or hit-and-run attacks that require a high degree of speed and mobility. There were several different patterns of jet bikes used by the Imperium of Man over the centuries, and the most common patterns are usually armed with some kind of anti-personnel weapon, such as a heavy bolter or a set of twin-linked bolters that are synchronized to fire simultaneously. These weapons can lay down a withering hail of fire against lightly armored targets. In the late 41st millennium, this archaic technology is virtually extinct within the Imperium, but jet bikes are still widely employed by the Eldari and the Drukhari kin, and that is the Eldar and the Dark Eldar. So yes, there are jet bikes throughout the Xenos, but when it comes to humanity, jet bikes are a nearly extinct form of archaeotech that dates back to the earliest days of the Imperium of Man. During the Horus Heresy, many Space Marine legions, as well as many other Imperial military forces such as the Legio Custodes and the as Sisters of Silence also fielded jet bikes. Ooh, I can imagine Sisters of Silence on jet bikes being just awful. Imagine nulls with the ability to move even quicker and to get into your range fast. Ooh, that's dangerous. These gravity impeller-assisted jet engine-propelled hovercraft, well that's a mouthful, were more akin to compact aircraft than ground-based assault bikes, and were able to maintain great speeds for extended periods of low-altitude flight. Yes, the weaponry in 40K is insane, so I would agree with that they are more like a compact aircraft than an actual ground-based assault bike. Think of the amount of things that can be stuck on a Centurion, and a Centurion or a tank or just like a Devastator. There's these giant space Marines with so much ammunition that basically a assault bike became kind of meaningless. So yes, these compact, they're more like a compact aircraft with the ability to fly and be maneuverable than they are a big walking tank thing. There's not really a need for that in 40K. Their lift strength was sufficient not only to carry a heavily armored Space Marine and his war gear aloft, but also to transport a variety of heavy weapons, mounts, and stocks of ammunition, giving the Astartes and other Imperial personnel who use them extremely potent firepower as well as excellent maneuverability. The jetbike patterns in service with the Legion's Astartes were modifications of designs which considerably predated the Imperium, and given the materials required to make and maintain them, such as the iridium calcite alloys needed to fabricate the hyper-efficient anti-gravitic super-sensor repulsor plates required for flight, demand for them by the Legions always outstripped the supply provided by the Mechanicum. The last known jetbike pattern that was built by the Imperium was the Mark 14 bullet pattern jetbike, which was equipped with an integrated auto drive as well as other additional specialized capabilities such as auto targeters linked to the vehicle's weapon, an auspex, and an extensive suite of sensors capable of differentiating between biological life forms and inorganic energy emissions. Imperial jetbikes were capable of both in-flight and hover modes as previously stated, and in combat Imperial jetbikes could be deployed by aerial drop separation. Yes, once again mentioning where the jetbikes could be dropped from a Stormbird when the aircraft was still in the sky. And though it is unknown whether these jetbikes can work in high orbit or in space, I think they can only work in atmosphere as they are a jet, so they need some air to actually jet through. Oh, however, they do mention anti-gravitic suspension, so does anti-gravitic suspension mean that these jet bikes could still work in space? Interesting. It is unknown so far whether these jet bikes could still work in space. If they could, I would think that these jet bikes could make a wicked defense, as sort of like, imagine bees flying around a hive. Imagine if you had a spaceship with jet bikes floating around it with Space Marines on those jet bikes, fully armed and heavy Space Marines. In space, the amount of lift required to move them would be much lower, so then the gravity would actually be running with much lower energy. It'd be much more efficient to use jet bikes in space. This has turned into a tangent here. I was just going to continue on, but yeah, this is a tangent. So yeah, there are a few different types of jet bikes, and if they could be in space, that would be so powerful, wouldn't it? Why aren't there like mini fighters like this in space? Although I guess there are like fighters like this. I guess any Navy person. What's the difference? What's the need for a Space Marine to have one of these than the difference between a Navy person and just a little fighter ship? Unknown to me, but I could very much see these things swarming around a ship like bees around a hive. That would be pretty cool. So the jetbike is the equivalent of the ancient steed of humanity, and though horses do exist in the 41st millennium, they do not quite fulfill the same role as the jetbikes, do they? So what type of jetbikes are there? Well, like many Imperial vehicles, they have several different known patterns and variants that were used during the period of Imperial history when the use of jetbikes was much more common. The following entries include all of the known patterns and variants of Imperial jetbikes. And remember, there are two other jetbikes, but those belong to the Xenos, the Eldar, and the Dark Eldar. So there's the previously discussed bullock pattern jetbike. The bullock pattern jetbike, also known as the Mark 14 bullock pattern jetbike, was the last known pattern of jetbike produced by the Imperium of Man. We discussed this before. So quite fittingly, the bullock pattern jetbikes were produced by the White Scars Legion, or produced at the demand of the White Scars Legion. And though it's unknown how many survived, there was a point where they had at least 500 of these bullock pattern jetbikes in their possession. Now there's also the Grafal Grafalcon pattern jet bike, one of a number of customized jet bikes designs utilized by the Legio Custodes, and this is by their Agamatus jet bike squadrons. The heavy-duty plasma motor boosted Grafalcon pattern jet bike served as the Custodes' steeds in battle. So there were the Dawn Eagle jet bikes, but now the Custodes also used the Grafalcon pattern jet bike. The increased pattern of the design supported not only the heavily armored Custodian guard, but allowed it to mount a powerful Elastus pattern bolt cannon as its onboard armament. The Grafalcon was more powerful even than the scimitar pattern associated with the Legion Astartes, a heavy-duty design more akin to an armored one-man speeder than a true jet bike. In addition, its augmented grav-repel system combined with a plasma thrust motor provided tremendous temporary bursts of speed. The Agamatus squadrons of the Legio Custodes exploited these war machines to operate as both a rapid response and suppression unit in the field. And as mentioned before, these jet bikes are very much like the cavalry of old, so being used to scout or being used to circle around or to find weak spots in the enemy and very quickly maneuvering, so suppression is a very good use. Rapid response, able to quickly get to a location or able to quickly move around, very much like a sheepdog herding its sheep, sort of that kind of suppression as well. And then we have the Dawn Eagle pattern jet bike. The Dawn Eagle, once again, is an incredible vehicle, a Great Crusade era relic wrought in armormite and adamantium. These bikes are almost as large as a light fighter craft, and while they're still grav skimmers, can deliver a near supersonic turn of speed. The hulls are again phenomenally durable, allowing the riders to slam through walls and enemy warriors. I really do like that. And yeah, they scream across the battlefield, rapidly outflanking and encircling the heaviest enemy vehicles before annihilating them with strafing runs of Melta missiles. Even enemy aircraft are not safe, for by combining their fire, the Virtus Praetors of the Adeptus Custodes, who are the exclusive users of the Dawn Eagle, are able to weave airborne webs of flak blasts into which hurtling enemy aircraft slam with terminal results. And then there's also the scimitar pattern jet bike. Now, the scimitar pattern jet bike was relatively common, the most common pattern of Imperial jet bikes that was used by the Space Marine legions during the Great Crusade and later in the Horus Heresy. The scimitar pattern jet bike was armed with a single spinal mounted heavy bolter, but was also able to be armed with a multi-melta, a plasma cannon, or a Volkite culverin, which is pretty cool. These jet bikes were usually organized into fearsome Skyhunter squadrons by the legions and used as powerful fast strike units. These squadrons were so effective that they were used in some capacity by almost all Space Marine legions. Due to the jet bike's extreme speed and mobility and its ability to be carrying heavy weaponry, it was not uncommon for these squadrons to range far ahead of the main strength of a Space Marine force, striking targets of opportunity at will. So there was also the Shamshir pattern jet bike. The Shamshir pattern jet bike was an anti-gravitic Imperial jet bike used by the ancient White Scars Legion heavy assault jet bike squads known as the Golden Kashyyyk. The Shamshir was a rare variant of the scimitar jet bike employed by the White Scars Legion for its increased speed and maneuverability. Production of this variant jet bike was limited to small mechanicum enclaves established in the Kolan Circle and maintained by ancient treaty with the White Scars and their enigmatic primarch Jagatai Khan. Oh, and that's it. There's nothing more than that. That's all there is about the Shamshir jet bike. Let's see if there's a little bit more here. Okay, so I can't really see, there's only one other sentence here that I could find, and instead of a heavy bolter, the Shamshir jet bike is armed with the scatterbolt launcher that allows it to unleash a hail of multiple bolts from different directions. So yes, and there's someone with a lance riding the Shamshir here. So they did mention that this was the sort of heavy version of the White Scars, and I kind of like that, but too bad there's nothing more written about them. Now, there are also jetbike chariots, which are a variant of the jetbike that features a platform on the rear of the jetbikes where an Astartes could stand. These Astartes on the back could make use of the weapons while the jetbike's driver focused on piloting the craft. Though I don't know why they'd need to stand to do that. I don't know, I guess lock them in, but I guess we're going full Ben-Hur with this. The platform was surrounded on three sides by armor plate, giving the passengers some degree of protection from enemy fire. It's unknown if jetbike chariots can be armed with mounted heavy weaponry. That would be actually pretty cool. I actually would like to see one of those with sort of like a big turret on the back. I actually would want to see that. Sort of, yeah, that would actually be pretty interesting. The only users of the Jetbike chariot was the Blood Angels Legion. Although other legions may have made use of them, the pattern of jetbike used by the Jetbike chariot is unknown, although it was armed with a set of twin-linked bolters. So yeah, the twin-link bolters, that's kind of alright, but I didn't like the idea of having Jetbike chariots until I thought of a heavy weapon turret on the back of it. Okay, that is definitely pretty sweet. I can like that. I can like that. And then there is one other known pattern and then a few unknown patterns. So the last known pattern is the Sojutsu pattern void bike. The Sojutsu pattern void bike is an early prototype Imperial jet bike that predates the most common scimitar jet bike in common use with the Legion Astartes during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy eras. During initial trials, its thrusters were capable of providing sufficient thrust to grant the bike limited periods of true flight and even some maneuverability in deep space. Interesting. So we finally have confirmation that it can work in deep space, and it was classed by the Logisticae Imperialis as an ultralight fighter craft instead of a jet bike. Okay, there we go. So they figured out that thing as same as me. They realized there's not really much of a difference, is there? So the Sojutsu void bike was the favored mount of the White Scars Legion Primarch Jagatai Khan. And now for the unknown jet bike patterns. There are many different patterns of the Imperial jet bike, and many of these patterns remain a mystery to the Imperial scholars and Adeptus Mechanicus Magi. So the jet bike was widely used during the Great Crusade, the Horace, the Sisters of Silence, Legio Custodes, Mechanica of Mars, and even some numbers by the Imperial Army. So many different patterns and sizes are thought to exist. The several unnamed patterns of jet bike known to the Imperium include the following. A pattern of jet bike is known to have been used by the Praetorian jet bike squadrons of the Legio Custodes, really during the Great Crusades and Horus Heresy. These jet bikes were smaller than all other known jet bike patterns, and this pattern was known to have been armed with a set of twin-linked bolters. Okay, so there's smaller ones. A pattern of jet bike is known to be used by the World Eaters Legion during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. Seemingly unarmed, and may have been used as a reconnaissance vehicle. Alright. Another one may have been called the Paragon pattern, known to have been used by the Emperor's Children and the Death Guard Legion. Featured a large golden eagle with its wings spread mounted across the front of the jet bike, also armed with a set of twin-link bolters. This pattern of jet bike appears to be smaller than the bullock and scimitar patterns and may represent a jet bike pattern similar to the Astartes assault bike, whereas the patterns of jet bike armed with heavy weapons are similar to the Astartes attack bike, and the assault bike and the attack bike are just non-hover versions. They're just motorcycles with actual weapons attached to them. They're not hover versions. And then there is the Corvex, and that is the very last one, yes, so we'll end with the Corvex. Corvex is the jet bike currently used by Grandmaster Samuel of the Dark Angels chapter and represents one of the last known examples of a functioning jet bike in the Imperium of the late 41st millennium. Now, I'm 99% sure that this Corvex lore was written before the Adeptus Custodes got a huge update and just got given stuff, so they haven't really been able to say that it's not necessarily one of the last known examples in the late 41st millennium, but I'm pretty sure before the Adeptus Custodes rolled out with their newest update, that this single model, this Corvex, was one of the last known functioning jet bikes in the Imperium of the late 41st millennium. I think that's how it was until the Adeptus Custodes came back and they sort of like redid the lore. So anyways, this pattern of jet bike features built-in storm bolters and an underslung plasma cannon. Although it's believed that the inbuilt weapons may not be standard, there existed an Imperial jet bike pattern similar to Samuel's that featured underslung weaponry but did not possess the inbuilt weapons. This particular jet bike is believed to be an unknown variant of, again, the Mark 14 bullet pattern jet bike, the last jet bike pattern manufactured by the Imperium before the outbreak of the Horus Heresy in the early 31st millennium. And again, we've mentioned this in the beginning, but I just thought I'd go over it again, that Corvex is again thought to be lost or destroyed many times, and it's unknown whether it is a unique jet bike or if the Dark Angels have maintained some sort of cache of this particular pattern, or even if the Dark Angels have a long lost standard template construct or STC and are capable of building new jet bikes of this pattern. However, as the Dark Angels do not share their many secrets with the rest of the Imperium, this answer may never be known. And then there are the two other jet bikes held by the Eldar and the Dark Eldar, although they could be said to be the exact same. So yes, that was the jet bikes of the Imperium of Mankind, something that I thought was very, very interesting, and the fact that they do mention that some of them can work in space intrigues me greatly. Mixing a bit of the jet bike chariot with some of the fact that they can ride in space, with some of the things how they mentioned the Custodes giant ones like the Dawn Eagle jet bikes being more like an actual compact ship than it is an actual like bike on the ground. These are very interesting. I keep thinking of the Cloud Riders from Star Wars, from Solo. Yeah, the Cloud Riders. I do really like the idea of a jet bike. It is super cool, and who knows, maybe I'll put a few Cloud Rider pictures up here at the end, just one or two just for some fun, but I'll try to keep as many 40K jet bikes as I can for the art for this video. But I do love the jet bikes. They are really neat, super unique. And the fact that a jet bike can carry a fully armored space marine and can be equipped with heavy weapons, and even some of them are able to have jet bike chariots. Now think about this, the chariot has a platform on the back. The platform has fully armored things on 3 out of 4 sides to protect the person from fire. And that amount of weight, so that would be a bike carrying 2 Marines, also with this mounted shield thing on the back that's also a platform to hold the Marine, that has to be sturdy enough for that. The amount of weight that is holding upon it, that is just absolutely insane. How can these jet bikes not be used in, like, I don't know, imagine taking one of these jet bikes and attaching it to the back of the Centurion or something like that. Why aren't there flying Marines? It just doesn't make sense. The fact that there's jet packs, the jet packs, I think, or jump packs, that's right, they're called jump packs in 40K. The jump packs are fairly useless and they need a giant power source. Yet the power source of these, the Dawn Eagle pattern jet bikes, the Scimitar pattern jet bikes, I don't know, the Kashyyyk pattern, the Chariot pattern, all of them, how are they powered? How can they? That's the one thing that would actually make these a lot less powerful than it sounds like, is if these things need to be charged every, I don't know, kilometer or 2 because of how much they're carrying, then that would really change the game. But as far as I can tell, there's no limit on power that would make these useless, because if there was, then the Custodes certainly wouldn't rely on them so much. The only reason that the elite Custodes and the best of the Adeptus Astartes and even the Grandmaster Samuel of the Dark Angels, the reason why so many people hold on to these things as treasures, as treasured relics, must be because they have good energy usage as well. Otherwise, if they had bad energy usage, they just wouldn't be as useful. So if they really are as golden age as everyone thinks they are, then probably the energy distribution and energy usage would be off the charts, in which case it's really a shame that these can't be backwards engineered to make flying space marines. If these things work in space, if they work in atmosphere, if they work hovering, if they work flying, these might be one of the most useful pieces of technology that's not discussed in 40K. Yeah, I keep going back to that jet bike chariot, the whole Ben-Hur thing. The amount of weight that one jet bike chariot is carrying is insane. And it does say that the model of jet bike used by the jet bike chariot is unknown, although it was armed with a set of twin-linked bolters. So it's got 2 Space Marines, a giant armored chariot thing on the back, and 2 twin-linked bolters. That's just amazing weight carrying, amazing speed. The Adeptus Custodes have custom models that they can use to get even faster speed. I couldn't imagine the ability to use these when they're wired into your I guess, can the jet bikes be wired into the Black Mantle? If so, then that would be absolutely insane to be able to fly one of these with your mind. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I should probably stop rambling now. I probably should get to work on finding some cool art for this. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, then leave it a like. A like shows me you want some more 40K in the future. I really enjoyed making this video. There was a lot of fun things to think about. So yeah, subscribe for daily videos. I make at least one video every single day, and leave any questions or suggestions in the comments below, especially if you have some neat ideas about what to do with the jet bikes. They fly in space, they can hover over the ground, they can fly, they can float, they can carry the best soldiers with the best equipment into battle, and they're very much the equivalent to the ancient steeds of humanity. I think it's a very cool idea, and something that hasn't been fully utilized to its greatest capabilities and strengths. The advancement of human civilization that came with cavalry and all of its abilities and strength is just it's not something that I can cover in one single video. So please leave any questions or suggestions. If you want me to discuss this more in another video, I'd be happy to. There's a lot of things that I can imagine them doing with these great bikes. So thanks for watching, everyone. Leave this video a like, subscribe, leave any questions or suggestions, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.